Hey everybody, this is World War Guy here today, and today I want to talk about using original German items for your World War II German impression. Now this can range from actual reenactments, um, living history displays, personal displays in your war room, anything like that. And this is basically, should you use blank item for your impression? Why and why not? Hopefully this will help you guys if you're hesitating whether you should buy original or just buy reproduction. And of course, this is going to be my opinion based on some facts. But at the end of the day, it's all up to you if you want to use something that's original or not. With that being said, let's look at some examples and let's get right to it. All right, guys. So here's a small grouping of items in my room that I decided to use for this video. Now, of course, this is not restricted to these items. This could go for basically any item that you could possibly use for your German impression. I just have limited room for everything. So the main thing I want to talk about is metal items. So this is going to be for bayonets, helmets, mess kits, canteen flasks, shovels, etc. The way I see it is it's all in condition. So for example, this bayonet here, it is a all matching 1939 German bayonet, still in relatively good condition. This personally I would not use. I think it's in too good of a condition. Also, the fact that it's matching serial numbers, that I personally would not want to use it for a reenactment. Now, as I say, don't use it for a reenactment, that means the kind that you're going to get muddy, you're going to run around the field, you're going to fall down, jump, etc., hit trees. Because you're going to get it banged up as it was intended to. These things were, war material. Now, if you're doing a living history display where you're just standing at a table showing off your stuff, yeah, if you want to take out your best looking bayonet, go right ahead, as long as you're not banging it up against a tree or anything like that. The same goes for mess kits. We'll get to that in a second, but if a mess kit is in very good condition, you can use it for your living history display, but a reenactment, I personally would stay away from using my nice, pristine mess kit. And speaking of mess kits, when is it okay to use it for a reenactment? Well, let's take this mess kit for example. Personally, I would use it for a reenactment the way it is. As you can see, the bottom half, there's 10% of the paint remaining on it. And the top, has most of the paint on it, but in reality, it's not a really collectible helmet. 1942 dated. Would I repaint it? Personally, no, and that's just a personal opinion, is that this has not been repainted, and I don't feel that it is my place to repaint it for a reenactment. Some people will, because like I said, most of the paint is missing, and again, that's up to you. But personally, I would not paint it because, it's still original paint, and I couldn't bring myself to it. And when talking about helmets, that again depends kind of the same with the mess kits. For example, this is my original M42 helmet, where it just has the liner band, but otherwise it's the original decal, original paint, original everything. I personally wouldn't use this. One, I would have to replace the liner, which means I'd have to take out the split pins. Again, if I'm using this in a reenactment, it could possibly get banged up, it could get muddy, and everything else. So if I don't repaint it, then the paint's going to start fading away. The decal is going to get more scratched up than it already is, and you're just decreasing its value at that time. Using it for a living history display, again, you'd have to switch out the liner, which in my opinion is not a good idea, because something like this, it's in good enough condition that you wouldn't want to mess with it. Now, if a helmet or mess kit or gas canister or anything like that has been tampered with sometime before you acquired it, such as, let's say this helmet was spray painted neon green, then by all means go right ahead to restore it and use it for your reenactment, because it's already been destroyed in value by someone else sometime in the past by tampering with it. Talking about fabric items, this is up to you. For example, a breadback strap. I personally wouldn't use it, but again, that's just me. Because they have to understand the canvas, the whatever fabric you're looking at, it's 80 years old at this point. So it's old. It's not as durable as it used to be. It's original items, so I personally wouldn't want to go out in the field and possibly get it ripped, snagged on something, muddy, or have the color fade even more. As well as you have leather on this. And speaking of leather, let's look at some leather items. Leather items. Now I know a lot of reenactors do like to use original leather items, especially ammo pouches. Again, it's up to them, but personally I don't think it's a good idea for reenactments. If you're doing a living history display and you want to show off your original stuff, as long as you're not, stretching anything, possibly causing a tear or anything, I think that's fine because you're being gentle with it and you're just wearing it, which is basically the same as if you were to put it on a mannequin. Now, if you're doing a reenactment, the kinds where you're running around, jumping in mud, falling on the ground, hitting trees, etc., leather is probably not a very good idea. You have to understand, even though this is very good leather, not this one in particular, but leather back in the day was very well made. It's still 80 years old. It's very old. Leather dries out, especially since I'm sure sometime between it was made and by the time you acquired it, there was a good portion of that time that it was not taken care of with proper grease or oil or anything. So with time and wear, you're going to slowly start ripping the leather. You're going to dry it out even more. And even though millions of these ammo pouches, for example, have been made, every time you lose one, you break one, it's one less that's available in the private sector for collecting. And of course, this goes for any leather products, so tourniquet straps, for example, or even equipment belts, which of course are going to bear the majority of the weight of your equipment, not including the internal Y straps. So you have to understand, original leather, probably not the best idea because it does wear out eventually, and you don't want to be the one to break that leather. Now, of course, it's important to understand that I'm differentiating this from reenactments such as active running around and so on versus a living history event where you're standing at a table. That's up to you to decide when it's okay to use it and not. Personally, I think if you use original items that are in fair condition at a living history display, that is totally fine because you're not putting a lot of strain on it. You're being gentle with it, the same as if you were to have it on a mannequin. If you're going out in the field, you have a better chance at damaging something because obviously these things were made to take a beating. So during a reenactment, you're going to be giving these things a beating, and at one point they're just not going to hold up anymore and they're just going to fall apart or lose its value. Converting original items such as a helmet like this is personally not a good idea because this is still collectible. This has a collector's value on it, not just a reenactment value. And personally, if you change it, if you paint it differently, you change the liner, you put a SS decal instead of a hair decal, you're decreasing its value and we're losing a part of history. Now, I understand millions of these helmets, mess kits, belts, etc. were made, and I know museums have dozens, if not hundreds, of these individual items. If I destroy this helmet, that's one less helmet that's available on the private sector that people like you and me can purchase. So the main idea I want you guys to take away from this is if it has already been tampered with, such as spray painted or altered, go ahead and use it because it's already lost its collector's value in that regards. If you're doing a living history display, use original items. I think that's great. I think it's more accurate than reproductions and a public will get a better sense of the item. And if you're doing a action-packed reenactment, actual reenactment, try to avoid using as much original items as possible. Like I said, if possible. Alright guys, so that was the video. I hope this helped you at least get an understanding of if you should use something. It'll make you think twice, or maybe help you make your decision. But with that being said, I do hope it helped you. If it did, make sure to drop a like, write a comment, share, and subscribe. But besides that, you guys have a great day.